I'm Izzy Altieri.
I'm Harvey.
And our service project was the Gaskins Forest Education Center Arboretum map and pamphlet for our stakeholder, Miss Heather Brazel.
So Miss Brazel hosts a lot of different groups out at the Arboretum to help with dendrology studies. Groups like 4-H and sometimes dendrology classes from here at ABAC will come out and utilize the Education Center Arboretum for their studies. But every single time Miss Brazel hosts anybody out there, she has to meet up with the instructor at some point and show them around the Arboretum so that they can have an idea of where different species are that they might want to cover. And it can take a while to do that. It takes a pretty sizable chunk out of her schedule, and she has a very busy schedule, and she wanted a way to streamline that whole process so that basically all she has to do is show up and unlock the gate, and then she's good to go and she can get on with the rest of her busy day. And so what she wanted was a map and a pamphlet that would detail where in the Arboretum different tree species can be found, so that she can just email that stuff to an instructor ahead of time and she wouldn't have to worry about showing them around. And she wanted this completed in time for Day in the Woods, which is a community event that she hosts out at the Gaskins Forest Education Center, where people can come and see different presentations and do lots of different crafts and things to learn about forestry and wildlife.
The Arboretum itself was started in 2014 and hosts an array of different species that Miss Brazel has been planting there. Miss Brazel already had a working list of all the different species that were on the property, and most of the tree species already had name tags on them, so that made our job run a lot smoother. The Arboretum itself is separated into several different sections, such as the garden section, which is right in the center of the Arboretum and hosts species like black willow, hazel alder, a bunch of different dogwoods.
It's got this ephemeral pond kind of dead center, so it's surrounded by a lot of different kind of wetland species, bottomland species.
Very nice. And then the maple area, which despite the name does hold more than just maples, though it does have a lot of maples. It also has a bunch of vacciniums, viburnums, and
some hollies,
and some sumacs.
Yeah, it's got sumac.
The oak hickory area, which is going to eventually be a drive-through area, so people don't even need to leave their car to come check out the lovely Arboretum, hosts an array of different oak species, some hickories, as well as some yellow poplars, black walnuts, just an all-around wonderful area to get to check out. Then there are 3 other smaller sections of the Arboretum, like the legume area, which is right next to the garden area, hosts species like ashes, eastern redbuds, and Hercules Club, which was cool to get to see. The vaccinium area, which hosts a bunch of different blueberries like rabbit's eye, as well as sparkleberry, and some magnolias. And the conifer area, which has different conifer species from across the southeast, as well as a few that are from the southeast.
So to start off, we met with Miss Brazel and went over kind of what she was expecting out of the project, why she was hoping to get this done. And she took us around the Arboretum and showed us where everything was, kind of explained the layout of the trails, how she kind of wanted them to go, and all the different species in all the different sections. So then we took a handheld GPS unit provided by the YAL to map out all the different trails And while we were doing that, we went ahead and also took point data on a select list of species that we thought we might single out to include on the map. So then we took all of that data from the GPS and uploaded it into ArcGIS Pro, which is where we made the map. And then using Canva, we put the pamphlet together with the map embedded into it and a list of all the different species kind of broken down by section. So this is the initial draft of the map. We have the 18 species from throughout the whole Arboretum. Our thought process was that it might be kind of nice to see, instead of just saying, well, this is the maple area, you could have kind of a breakdown of individual species to give you a better idea of kind of the community in that area of the Arboretum. But Ms. Brazel didn't see any value in having individual species broken down on the map, and so a second draft was created which looked like this, that is much cleaner, less noisy. It's a lot easier to read, easier on the eyes. I tried to make sure that each of the different trails were differentiated not just by color, but also by the texture of each of the trails to make sure that it was as readable as possible for anyone and everyone. And I did go ahead and change it from a vertical to a horizontal layout, which I think also kind of makes it a little bit easier to read and see. Kind of focuses in on the Arboretum itself a bit more, I think.
The pamphlet was made, as he said, using Canva. Right here would be the front page of the Arboretum pamphlet. So first thing, you get to see a very lovely photo. And on the back of the pamphlet is the Arboretum map. So you can just have it open while you're taking a tour of the property. Very easy to use and just all around lovely. Then on the inside of the pamphlet, so when you open it up, the first page has a quip about what the Arboretum is, what to find here, and just what Ms. Brazel is doing. Then the inside, and this section right here, has all the different parts of the Arboretum, the garden area, the pine area, all of that, with every single different species you can find on the property. Then down here at the bottom, we have a QR code that takes you to the Gaskins Forest Education Center Facebook page, so you can see when you could ever get the chance to come use this pamphlet and what events Ms. Brazel is hosting on the property. Now, our budget originally for this project was $165, and that price mostly came from printing the pamphlets, which we were going to do with Office Depot. For 100 pamphlets is $165. But as the process of making the pamphlets was going through, I realized that Canva offered to print them for you for a different price, but for also a different number. And I did not know which one Ms. Brazel was going to do, so I gave her both options and left it open. So our actual budget at the end of this whole project was $0, because again, the pamphlets left it open to however many she wanted to be printed, and because both ArcGIS and Canva are offered here to students for free, so we didn't have to pay for that, which was very nice.
Originally, we were wanting to start field data collection February 11th, had that finished by February 18th, so that we could finish the map by March 10th, and then the pamphlet a week later on the 17th. We didn't really consider how time-consuming creating the map and the pamphlet would actually be, at least in terms of the standard that we wanted to set for it, the quality that we wanted for it. It wound up taking more time than what we initially thought it would with respect to the rest of our schedules. And so we did get the field data collected finished by February 18th. But after submitting an initial draft to Ms. Brazel and then addressing the comments that she had on that draft. It wasn't until April 9th that we had a final, finished, complete draft that we felt comfortable submitting to Ms. Brazel to use.
So, in conclusion, what was completed? Well, we made a fantastic, easy to read, high quality map that anyone coming to check out the Arboretum could use, and all professors and advisors will just have a field day using. Then we were able to complete a well thought out, beautiful pamphlet that gave a list of every single species you could find and just everything else you would need to know about this Arboretum to be able to take a tour by yourself. And I think what was not most important, but very important, was that both the pamphlet and the map are able to be edited in the future. So Ms. Brazel, if anything changes in the Arboretum, if a trail is added, if a trail is taken away, or if different species are added, she will just be able to open Canva and add it in very simply.
In the future, new groups coming through the class could just continue to update the pamphlet as needed, as new trees are planted, or if some die, or if any change is made to the Arboretum itself. A new group could keep that pamphlet updated as time goes on. They could also improve on the trails, maybe lay down some gravel or mulch somewhere, or there's a bridge going across one section over the ephemeral pond, actually, that needs to be repaired. A group could do that in the future. Or they could create a kiosk with a larger map and more information on the education center itself to set out there.
We are really thankful for the opportunity to get to work on this project, and just so thankful to Ms. Brazel for trusting us with getting to create the pamphlet and the map. Thank you so much for your time.